Juventus, Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, AC Milan, Ajax, Sevilla, Shakhtar and Sporting. What do all these teams have in common? They're heading, quite possibly, to the Europa League.
I think is not fair that a team that doesn't succeed in one competition drops to another.
But why do teams who don't do well in the Champions League group stage get to play for the Europa League title? And who exactly gets in? Would it be considered a demotion? I mean, is it the Nations Cup the European countries playing? We heard England getting relegated. It's kind of strange. It's unfamiliar territory if you ask me. I'm used to that term being associated with league, club football. So how does it work? But before we get into that, don't forget to like and subscribe and let me know if you found this video interesting. So, a little Europa League trivia for you. The league started in 1971 and was initially a pure knockout competition with 64 teams. Imagine that. From the first round straight up, just straight knockout. Bam, 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 till you had 2 teams left and they would play for who was the best. It used to be a 2-leg final, but then that stopped in the 97-98 season. And then in the 04-05 season, they did an overhaul of the league. Overhaul of the league. Yeah, that's right. They did an overhaul of the league and allowed for 8 teams from the Champions League, 8 third-place teams from the group stage to partake in the knockout stages of the Europa League. And these knockout matches were now played over 2 legs, so it was no longer just a purebred knockout competition from start to finish. With the final, as was before, being a one-off match now. I think in the 09-010 season or 08-09 season, the competition went under further reconstruction, right? So now they added 8 more teams to the group stage of the Europa League. So now they had 12 groups of 4 with the 2 top teams progressing. And prior to this, it was 8 groups of 5 with 3 teams progressing. It's my hypothesis that the inclusion of the teams from the Champions League group stage, the ones who didn't play well enough or weren't good enough to make it to the next round, to allow them to play into the Europa League was, you could look at it as a economic type of move or an attempt to raise the profile of the league, which in the end is going to equal to more money. And when you think about it, they had in the knockout stage now for the Europa League so in the round of 32, they would have 2 groups of 16 teams, right? So catch this. One group of the 16, they have the group leaders from the Europa League group stages, so that's 8, plus the 8 Champions League teams that finished 3rd in their group. Now, if that wasn't a clear indication of match staging, I was going to use another word, but it sounded really curious. I'm going to go with match staging, planning, organizing. You know what I'm saying?
I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. In big trouble, and I don't want to be in big trouble.
Right there, you're billing now the competition with quote-unquote higher quality matches, and that's going to now get viewership from fans who were supporting these teams in the Champions League. You're hoping that they're going to come over now and watch the Europa League, watch your teams in the Europa League, and then you're having the best of the best compete against the not so best, but clear indication that shows that we see the Europa League as a lower tier. And I mean, it's reasonable. When you look at who qualifies from the different leagues into Champions League versus the Europa League, you are of a lower quality in that particular moment. And so you weren't able to qualify for the more prestigious competition, which is the Champions League. So you're picking the creme de la creme versus creme. And you pit them against each other and you're hoping that's going to drive a lot of viewership. And if you're lucky, these UCL teams may progress, or they should progress if they're that well. They should progress on further. And then eventually they'll play against the teams from the other lot, either at the final or whatever. So you're seeing a strategy there to try and bump up profile of the Europa League and to try and bump up the profile of the Europa League. And I can't say that it hasn't worked, and I can't say that it has. I mean, in 1997, I was still a kid. So I don't even think in 1997 I knew what Europa League was. I only knew Manchester United and the Premier League. You know, I was following World Cup. That's what I was into. Brazil. You know, once World Cup was around, I was live. I didn't have the ability to watch league games like many of you probably did growing up. So I can't make a fair comparison, but I can say the level on which it has been. You have Manchester United winning with Jose Mourihno. That brought a lot of profile to the league, especially when you consider who Mourinho was. His profile is massive. And you have Sevilla, Villarreal, you have these different clubs playing against Man United, playing against other clubs that didn't make it through to the next round of Champions League, coming down, people expecting them to beat them, but then they lose, generating these headlines. You know, with the advent of social media, the tweets go crazy, whether positive or negative the sentiments be. I mean, even with this that we're talking about now, just last week when all the Champions League matches were played, like tweets were going crazy, making fun of Barcelona, how Barcelona is going to end up back in Europa League, how Lewandowski left Bayern Munich to go play in Europa League, how Paul Pogba left Man United. You know, I mean, all these different narratives were going around making fun of these teams. Some of these teams who would have been legacy top teams, how they are now going to be playing in the Europa League. And all of this adds to the profile of the league, or it adds to the attention. It drives more attention to the league, which if you have a very good marketing team around it, you can generate a lot of revenue from this, which ultimately is what the organizers are trying to do, right? And that's it. So who gets in, as we would have said? The third place from the group stages, those are the guys who are going to get in from the Champions League. So whoever finishes third, so there are 2 games left across all the group stages. Each team has 2 games left. And when you look at the groups, you could see why Twitter was going crazy. I mean, Ajax has 3 points right now with Liverpool on 9, Napoli on 12. Yeah, Ajax is almost certain unless Rangers, pull a hat out of the bag and manage to win their next 2 and Ajax fumbles the bag there. The next group B, same thing. You have Atletico on 4, Leverkusen on 3. Unless Atletico wins their next 2 or, there are some strange events there, you're seeing, let me stop. Porto has 6 points. And it's still Atletico. With 2 games in hand, anybody drops points right now, draw or loses, they are going to be in trouble with the next game. There's going to be a lot of pressure on that last game. So that group is going to be a very interesting one to see if Atletico is able to pull off something magical. Or they're just going to get stuck. Or maybe Leverkusen might just come through. I mean, Group C, same thing. You have Barcelona on 4 points, Inter on 7, Bayern on 12. So Barcelona almost looks certain. It looks shaky over there. You look at the group Tottenham is in. Now that's a close group. It's 7-6-6-4. That's a point standing. 2 games in and every game counts in this one. So Sporting might still have a chance to make it to the next round, depending on what Marseille does and Tottenham does. Tottenham hasn't been like super crazy in the Champions League, but they've been able to get it done. So Group D and Group B could have some interesting storylines over the next two games. Group E, where they had AC Milan. Hold up, guys. Okay, yeah. I thought I was reading the points standings from the previous groups wrong. So, alright. So, Group E with AC Milan is similar. This is another close group. Chelsea, Salzburg, Milan, Dynamo. That's 7-6-4-4 respectively. That's a point standing. So again, these teams can't drop the catch, because if Chelsea drops the catch, Salzburg drops the catch, and Milan wins out, that's 6-4, that's 10. I mean, in all honesty, Chelsea just has to draw and win 1. But if Chelsea loses both or loses and draw, you see what I'm saying? So that's another one. Group E is another interesting one. And then we have Group F. Group F has Real Madrid in it. Shakhtar Donetsk. I mean, it's Leipzig. I mean, any one of those 2 could get it over the line. So that's another close one. But, Group G with Man City and Dortmund. Yeah, Sevilla looks pretty set in that with 2 points. And Dortmund have 7 points. Man City have 10 points. Yeah, that one looks almost set for Group G. Now, Group H with PSG, they've been very in this Champions League so far, and they got 8 points. Benfica got 8 points. Juventus got 3. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Juventus, I don't see Paris or Benfica losing both games, and I don't know if Juventus has that to win the next 2. So yeah, Juventus looks like they're kind of stuck. So it's gonna be an interesting set of games to come up, and I mean, let me know if these are if any one of these guys, these teams that I've mentioned that may make it to the Europa League if they're not able to qualify. If they're one of your teams, would you watch them while they're at the Europa League? Don't forget to like and subscribe, share with a friend, comment below if you made it to this far in the video, leave a thumbs up. Peace.